All right, so this is a video going over the Zoom office hours that I had this week. I got asked four questions about four problems, and there was an issue with the recording when there's a breakout room and co-hosting. So I'm just making this video to go over those four problems that we covered so that you could have access to those if you weren't able to make it to the Zoom meeting. All right, the first question I got asked about was just a brief question about number one regarding the formula that you should use. The formula for finding the arc length. The formula for finding the arc length of a circle is your central angle theta divided by 180 times pi times r. So where this is theta and this is r. I believe in the book, though, they used a different formula. There's a question whether or not that would also work, and it does. If you do theta divided by 360 times 2 pi r, those are actually the same formula. This first one uses a conversion rate of 180 degrees as 1 pi. This second one uses a conversion rate of 360 degrees as 2 pi. But they're the same thing. And if you simplify this right one, and you do simplify 2 divided by 360, you would get 1 over 180. All right, that was the only one on week one's lesson. There were 3 on week two's lesson. So for week 2, the question was for this first one, making sure you get the right answer in the right quadrants. To solve this one is 2 steps. To get theta by itself, I would divide by 3. So I would get cosine of theta is equal to negative 2 over 3. And then to get theta by itself here, I would take the cosine inverse of negative 2 over 3. Now that is not one that has an exact answer, so we would do that one using our calculator, making sure our calculator is in degree mode since our angle is given to us in degrees. So we're going to take the cosine inverse of negative 2 over 3, and you get about 131.810 degrees. So our first answer is about 131.810 degrees. To find you should note that that angle is between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So that answer is in quadrant 2. And then to find the answer in quadrant 3, which is the other quadrant where cosine is negative, because remember cosine is x over r. So where x is negative is where cosine is negative. So that's going to be where x is negative is going to be in cosine quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Those are the quadrants where you have x values left of the y-axis, or negative x values. But to find this answer in quadrant 3, there is a little bit of work you had to do, which was the main question. So our first answer gave us this angle right here. If we want to find this angle over here, what you have to find is first, what is this reference angle here? Because this angle in quadrant 3 is going to be 180 degrees plus whatever that reference angle is. So to find that reference angle, alpha, it's going to be 180 degrees minus 131.8, because if you think, all right, 131.8 takes us to here, the reference angle takes us the rest of the distance to 180, then alpha, the reference angle, is going to be 180 minus the 131. It's whatever it fell short of. And so you should get, for our problem, that the reference angle is about, take our previous answer, or sorry, 180 minus our previous answer. (48.190 degrees). So then to find our answer in quadrant 3, right, where again, it's going to be 180 plus whatever alpha is, Our second answer will be 180 degrees plus 48.190, which is about what, 228.190 degrees. So those are the answers you should get for number one. The next question that we had was in regard to number 3. For number 3 is a similar type of problem. We need to solve this for x. To do that, we would divide by 2 to start. Get the sine of 2x is equal to the square root of 2 over 2. Next thing I would do is get rid of sine. So 2x is going to equal the sine inverse of square root of 2 over 2. And that one is an exact answer. You can use your unit circle to find it. That is going to give us our first answer will be when pi is pi over 4. The inverse of square root of 2 over 2 for sine is pi over 4. So to solve this for x, I would divide by 2 and get my first answer is pi over 8. Okay, but that's not the only answer. I have to ask in what other quadrants is sine positive? And sine is positive in the first and second quadrant. So to find my answer in the second quadrant, I'm going to use my reference angle, which is this one, because in the first quadrant, your theta and your reference angle are the same thing, right? Again, if it helps, draw a little picture here, but here's an angle in quadrant 1. This is our central angle, and that is also the distance from the x-axis to that angle. They're the same thing. So in quadrant 2, to find that one, again, I'm going to do, in this case, not 180, but pi minus my reference angle here. So it'll be pi minus, and again, the angle we're using here is pi over 4, not pi over 8. That's not the sine inverse of square root of 2 over 2. That's my answer when I solve for all my algebra. The sine inverse, the central angle here, is pi over 4. So if you do that, that would be 3 pi over 4 divided by 2 is 3 pi over 8. Okay, now what makes this problem a little bit more difficult than the previous problem is you're not done. There are 2 more answers because the question told us to find the answers between 0 to 2 pi for x. But since we're taking the sine of 2x, then we're really trying to find the angles between 0 and 2x and 4 pi. Right? If I multiply this by 2 to make 2x, 0 times 2 is 0. 2 pi times 2 is 4 pi. So I want to find all the answers between 0 to 4 pi. So I need to find my answers. I found it for when I go around the circle once, and then I would need to find the answers that are coterminal with these 2 answers when I go around the circle again. I will find the third answer for you, and then I'm going to leave you to find the fourth answer. When you're finding the third and fourth answer, again, you are using these angles to find your coterminal angles. So to find my coterminal angle for my third answer here, I would do pi over 4 plus 2 pi, which would be the same as, what? That would be 8 pi over 4. If I get a common denominator here and multiply that by 4. So 1 pi over 4 plus 8 pi's over 4 would be 9 pi's over 4. And then I would divide by 2. So my third answer is 9 pi over 8. All right. So that gives you your third answer for that one. And again, I would leave you to find the fourth answer. To find the fourth answer, you're going to find the coterminal angle with this one. So you need to add 2 pi to that one and then solve it for x. All right, last question I got asked about was number 4 regarding its period. The key to that one is to note that this equation is written in the form of y equals a cosine of b times x minus h plus k where you don't really have to worry about h and k in this problem. For this problem, h is 0 and k is 0. But what we want to find is the period. And we know the period is equal to 2 pi divided by b. And our problem, I know it's written in a weird notation here, but I think we can all agree x over 2, x divided by 2 is the same thing as 1/2 times x. So our coefficient in front of x is a half. So our b value is a half. So the period would be 2 pi divided by a half, and a half goes into 2 4 times. Or if you think like, okay, I want to solve this fraction within a fraction, a half times 2 is 1, 2 pi times 2 is 4 pi. Right, so a half goes into 2 4 times, or if you do this little algebra, you should get in either case that the period is 4 pi. Now, when you go to graph this, again, which you could do on Desmos or by just using a sheet of paper and writing out the graph and then taking a picture and sending it to me. If you do it on Desmos, you can type that in, right, and then crop it or share your image, and it'll take it as a JPEG that you could then copy and paste into the Google Doc. But for me, on this one, I just did a window of 0 to 2 pi, so you're really only going to graph half of it. If you do it on your own and you want to graph from 0 to 4 pi and get the full cosine curve, that's fine. But I only asked you for half of the cosine curve. All right, that's all the questions that I was asked about in office hours up to this week. We have another free-for-all office hours tomorrow from 9:30 to 10:30. If you have more questions, you can drop by and ask them then. And hopefully I should be able to just record those straight from the audio now and not have to make another video. All right, thank you all for watching and have a good rest of your day.